What's up, YouTube? Today, my coffee and I come to you with another random thought. Today I want to take a look at the phrase that we hear quite a bit, and I used to hear it a lot growing up, which is don't forget where you came from. You know, sometimes people, they have a little bit of success or whatever, a little notoriety, and then suddenly they forget who their friends are and things like that. And so it's a way to kind of bring people back down to, you know, appropriate level of self-centeredness, I guess. We say, don't forget where you came from. Well, I have a little bit of a different take on that. So maybe we can do this. Don't forget what you've overcame. You know, it seems like in life is full of struggles. It's just a few days with many, many troubles. But it seems like that when we're in the middle of the thick of things, that it is easy for us to lose sight of where we came from. Not necessarily in a manner of our upbringing, but what we have overcame. If you think back to who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, however much time you have to fall back on, mine's a couple more years than 15. Only a couple decades. When we look back on what we have been through, I think it sometimes gives us a better sense of hope for the future, because we realize that at the moment that these things were happening, we were at our wits' end. We didn't think there was ever going to be any hope of getting through, but there you are. There you are. Living proof that you can survive whatever situation that was that you went through. Now, sometimes, all the time, we come through with battle scars. You know, I lost my parents, both my parents, over a 9-month period of time, a couple years back, almost. And, you know, that left some pretty big holes. That's going to do some damage. And those are things that are common to man, but I can tell you, as a person who is currently walking down that path right now, that is of no comfort whatsoever that everyone is going to experience that. That doesn't alleviate the pain whatsoever. But what it showed me was that, like all troubles, this too will pass. And so when we're looking at our situation and we're looking at our life and what we're going through, it does seem like many times, it does seem like that it is literally just as dark as it could possibly be, and that there's no hope for the future. But in those moments, if we can take a second and look back and think, I think I have said that before. I think I have thought that before. Well, if you said that before or thought it before, then clearly it wasn't the end, because here you are again. And it is very frustrating to repeat what it seems like life repeats the exact same cycles. I am finding, this is just for Brian, I am finding that there are certain things in my life that I really need to get a grip on. And with me, it is really my patience level. I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for a few things like, you know, stupidity and hypocrisy. And in this modern world, creates a fair amount of conflict. So what I have learning, and I think what I'm finally accepting, is that until I learn to come to grips with the fact that that's just how things are, it's going to continue to be a thorn in my side. What I'd like to kind of pass along, I guess, as the words of wisdom from, you know, an old fart like me, is, you know, when we are learning through life's journeys, when we are going through these hard places, there is actually a reason for them. They do seem completely random at the time, and even looking back, it's like, well, what good could have possibly come from it? But these hard times are what change us as people. And so if we don't forget to look back at who we used to be and to look back at what we've overcome, when we hit these walls, when we hit these struggles, maybe we can see them in a little bit different light. Instead of being a hindrance to impede our progress, maybe they're an obstacle to, you know, strengthen who we are as a person. Another thought that this is one that stuck with me for many years. I didn't do it, but it kept coming back to my memory because I wasn't doing it. And I'm not sure who gets credit for this, because this is not me, but it's better to look forward and plan than to look back and regret. So when we're in these moments of decision, when things are coming against us, sometimes it seems like from all sides and we really don't know what to do, it is in those moments I think it is best to stop for a second, let the emotions subside, and take inventory of the situation and look at it as if you were giving advice to someone else. You know, that is something, it's hard to kind of disassociate yourself from situations sometimes, but I think if we can sit down, it helps us logically reason out situations. Emotionally reacting to a bad situation is going to happen. You know, my parents died, I cried. Shocking. Shocking. But I couldn't allow that to stop what needed to happen next, because there are things that have to be done. And so, yes, we are going to have emotions that we're going to experience, but they cannot be in charge of our life. The thing about emotions is they're not logical because they're emotions. If they were logical, they'd be logic, and they wouldn't be emotional. So we need both, and we need to take care of both of those parts of who we are, but we also need to realize that there's a place for everything, and emotion is not really good with the decision-making part of life. Now, the last thing that I wanted to bring to you is that so hokey. Fortunately, POD has a good song that has this in it. It is the opening line in it. Every day is a new day. Yeah, you woke up this morning and you're like, I'm gonna do this, that, or the other, and then you're laying your head down at night and you're like, oh! Tomorrow is a new day. We need sometimes, when we are goal-oriented and goal-driven, when we have days where we just don't get it done, it just doesn't happen, we have to be careful not to allow those things to impede progress in the future. It's easy as a person who has this problem, for instance, sitting down, working through a video and trying to edit it. If you've ever done that, it's a very long and tedious process. In the middle of it, realizing that this is garbage. That's pretty frustrating. Okay? After 3.5 hours of trying to make something look good, you realize you can't polish a turd. And it at that point, Brian, starts questioning, why am I even doing this? This is stupid. Blah, 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 blah. Negative, because that's my nature. What I have to do is look back at what I have already overcome, which is far bigger problems than that. Like, a day and a half worth of work just gone, all of it, I believe that for us to be as stress-free as we can, which is a very difficult thing in this day and time, and has been for many, many years. It has nothing to do with the calendar year we're sitting in right now. It's been this way for quite a while. The stress, the high-paced life, the dissatisfaction in relationships, in work life, the amount of time we spend on social media, but feeling more and more isolated because we don't really have interpersonal relationships anymore, and because of a global pandemic, it's literally been illegal or nearly impossible for about a year. So getting better, but it is still a situation where the stress level is at, literally, in my 52 years on the earth, it is at an all-time high, and I was around through the Cold War. So what we have now, I think, is when we get so focused, we get way too focused on the problems that are in front of us, our emotions start to get the best of us, and then we're not able to make decisions. So take a moment, take a breath, sit down, do what you got to do to get your head a little clear, and remember from where you came. Remember the things that you have overcame. And know that if you put your nose to the grindstone, sit down, come up with a plan, and stick to the decisions that you've made. Get as much advice as you can, because that's always a safe thing to do. There's always safety with a lot of counsel. You take what you need to solve the problem that you have and then do it. The hardest thing about accomplishing anything is that first step. You make the decision and then go and do it. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. It definitely helped me out, but we've got to learn to overcome, because if we don't overcome obstacles, we'll never make it to the goal. So, all right, love you guys. Thanks for stopping in, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.